Welcome to Cowgirl Talk, where we empower you to live authentically through real food, real talk, and real life. Sisters brought together by our love of cows. We're your host, Emily, a dairy lover and personal trainer living in Florida.
And Becca, a corporate cowgirl holding down the family fort in Pennsylvania. Let's go, cowgirls!
Hello, and welcome back to Cowgirl Talk. So today we have a really fun interview, and it's with Becca. So it's not necessarily a guest interview because Becca is a host. I think she called herself a guest one time, just like Becca, you are a co-host. You are an important part of Cowgirl Talk. You are half of this. So we're going to, though, style this kind of as an interview episode all about Becca being a corporate cowgirl because I don't know if I've really heard the term before. Maybe it was before Becca, but I feel like she's coined the term really well. And you just embody what being a corporate cowgirl is about. And I've always really been inspired by your professional journey and all of the careers that you've taken and all the opportunities you've created for yourself. So I just thought it would be really fun to get to chat about this because, again, it's something that I've always admired. But anyone listening, if they are maybe at the beginning of their journey, in the middle of it, or even towards the end of it, I think it can always be helpful to just really hear the perspective of other, professional women in the realm of agriculture, dairy, but even outside of that. So I think it's going to be really fun. Also, I have to say, it is episode 29, which is like, people say, oh, it's my golden birthday because it's the age that they turn in the same year. So if like you turn this year, if you turn 24 in 2024.
Yeah. No, or
No?
like I turned 30 on May 30th.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can have like a golden birthday.
Yeah, that was my golden birthday.
Okay, so this is my golden episode because it's episode 29 and I'm 29. So it's not my birthday or anything, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. So yay, happy golden episode to me. And also just happy episode 29. We've been doing this, for a bit of time. So that's exciting. But before I continue to celebrate my golden episode, that sounds kind of like a weird little innuendo or something. I don't like it necessarily. Let's dive into our highs and lows of the week. And Becca, let's start with you.
Yes. So my highs are that Joey is coming home tomorrow, which is the Saturday before this episode is released.
So he's home at this point when you're listening
home
to this.
At this point, yeah. He is home right now in the future when you are listening to this.
Love it.
But so he has been gone all week in Canada. Don't ask me where. It's remote and you can fish there.
Woohoo! Yeah.
So he is like a big outdoorsy guy. Like before COVID, really, it was not me that changed this. It was more so COVID that changed this. Did a lot of the like overnight hikes and traveling places to hike, etc. All the things.
Oh, now he's a gamer.
Oh, he's always been that. He loves nature. He loves nature and technology that can be used in nature.
Nice.
So he, before this year, they didn't have any cell phone service when they went up here.
Oh, wow.
To this place. And they were gone, for over a week with basically a week without any cell phone service. And all there was a satellite phone for emergencies. And emergencies like, hey, I'm in the hospital and lost my leg.
Oh my gosh.
Not, hey, I miss you.
Yeah, or, that's not an emergency.
This dog is driving me nuts. Can you come home? So they just fish the whole time up there.
Oh my gosh.
They go out like 2 or 3 times a day. They catch walleye. Before the end of the trip, they were up to almost 500 fish. And so,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been like they've just been raving about it. So
it's a lot of fish.
He brings home some fish and we fry it. And we're also going to try to cook it in a way that we had it on our honeymoon that was amazing. Which was a bunch of veggies and short seasoning and butter. And so this is either going to be really good or we're going to totally ruin our memory of the best food we had.
Do you want to risk it?
I mean, I already have it in my grocery cart and the order's already placed to be delivered. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not very good at cooking fish, so I'll probably
we didn't eat it growing up. Yeah.
So, but that is my high. I have, I lived alone for like 3 years and I loved it. But there's something about whenever you live alone. It's awesome. I was also in a single different part of my life, but now
Yeah.
I've just been like kind of sad.
Welcome to my life. Ruben and I were talking about this because he's gone like all week for work, and I like don't have the group you do. I'm like, Becca can get a taste of what it's like to be me this week. I hope you're lonely.
I am lonely.
Boo. Good.
I am lonely.
That was so sad.
And poor Phoebe is even sadder.
Aww.
My God, this dog is so sad. She's, oh, where's my dad? You can tell she like definitely gets more hyped when both of us are here.
Yeah, for sure.
But that kind of leads, as her foot is like,
she's like, give me attention, please.
But that leads into my low, and I think part of the reason why I had like some major anxiety this week being home alone is I have started the transition off of birth control.
Oh.
And I tried this briefly, very briefly before.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
But pretty much for 16 years with like a month stint.
Yeah.
I have been on birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, this past like 2 month and a half, I don't know how long it's been, has been an outrageous surge of anxiety that I have never had in my life. Like I've always had anxiety to the point of, I always think of the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
Just
a pessimist. No, just
kidding. No, like if something's going wrong, I'm like, oh my God, I might like get my arm chopped off by this, or like someone can fall off the boat and fall into the motor. Like that's where my brain goes.
It can spiral quick.
It spirals, but I've always been able to use my anxiety as a tool to understand like, oh, okay, maybe we should be more careful in this situation, or maybe I'm stressed and that's driving this. It's always been able to be leveraged as a tool. Yeah. It's not being leveraged as a tool right now.
It is taking control.
It has taken complete control of me. And is insane. And I'm coming to the end of it. I think also I'm coming up on my first
start of your cycle.
And so that's not helping it. It was a really stressful, busy, good, but stressful week at work. Joey hasn't been here. Other events in the world have happened, and just like, woof. Yeah. There was one point Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, I just could not sleep. I got like 2-3 hours of sleep, maybe max, because I just had like chest constricting anxiety. It was nuts. I've never experienced this. Yeah. And so I literally had to bail on spin class that morning. And I texted or messaged the teacher and said, hey, listen, I'm sorry to bail on you. I'm sorry if that took a bike from somebody, but I can't make it to class today. Yeah. Luckily, she's like, oh, well, no, we still had open bikes. So, you didn't take away a seat from anyone. And she was like, well, I had $1 Million Baby on the playlist for you today because I requested that. And she said, but I'll move it to Friday if you come to class. So I went to class today, and that song made me feel a lot better. But that has just been my low of, I'm going to see how I feel in 3 months. Mm-hmm. See if I've kind of come back to, or if I might need a little help, because this anxiety is just like, wow, insane. So, but I feel better today. Probably because Joey's coming home tomorrow and I get to play tennis tonight. Yep. To be honest.
Yeah, the little sparkles, right? The little sprinkles to look forward to.
Oh, and the song, obviously a boost cycle today too. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm coming around, but woof, it's been a journey. So, let's hear yours.
Well, first, I always like to think of the sound, and it's from a movie, but I can't think of what one because it's a sound on TikTok. But it's oh, how I love being a woman. And it's used in a fun way, but then also when women are just dealing with shitty things like this, it's like, oh, how I love being a woman, because it's just not something, of course, anxiety can impact anyone, right? But in terms of, hormonal birth control, that's not something that men necessarily have to worry about. And then coming off of that, it's a whole process, right? And it's something that I think more women are becoming aware of. And for whatever you do with your journey, I think more women are just becoming more aware of that. I went off of it and, oh my gosh, I guess 3 years ago now. And so I know for a lot, that first couple maybe weeks or months coming off of it, it's a big transition, right? Especially when you said your body's gotten used to utilizing that for years. And now it's like, whoa, this is
Yeah,
different.
16 years. That's nuts. That means I'm old.
You're past. This is not your golden episode. That'll be in a few episodes.
No, we got a ways to go.
Yeah. Whoa, 3.
We gotta. Honestly, it's probably gonna be in the next season.
Yeah, who knows? It might be. We'll decide how we split this up. But also, when you were talking about Joe being in Canada with no cell service, last week we were up in Georgia helping with corn silage, and his parents, Ruben's parents, they watch Alone, the series where people literally gone.
So good.
Yeah, and for the the season we were watching, they were in Saskatchewan, Canada, with no cell service, and of course they only have the satellite phone, and a lot of them fish. So you're talking about Joe, and I was like, oh yeah, this is so like Alone right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think he had to deal with like the grizzly bears that they probably had to deal with.
Frostbite, the things that can really harm you.
Canada is beastly.
You forget how big it is and like how empty it is. It's just wilderness.
Canada is so empty.
Yeah,
it is so empty.
With people, of course. It's full of life in other ways. But it's so vast. It's so big. I always forget that.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. So
love it. Well, hopefully Joe. Well, they probably didn't take pictures because they're men. But hopefully
they did. No, they take a lot of pictures.
Good.
And you know what? They take a lot of pictures of the food they eat while they're up there.
Oh, fish. Do they eat the fish when they're there?
Yeah, so they eat a lot of fish while they're there, then they bring it home, but then they also just eat like total garbage. I mean, they take up cast iron skillets and steaks and mac and cheese and just
hell yeah.
Yeah. Every time I got a picture of a plate, I'm like, how do you feel right now? He said, I hate myself.
But it's good. Yay. Oh, now he gets to come back to reality. But
yeah, where we have our frozen chicken tenders and our Taylor Farm salad kits. Like, I got them waiting for you, honey.
Hell yeah. Back to the easy life of convenience.
Yep. No longer having to fish and fight for your food out there.
Just Phoebe. Just has to fight Phoebe sometimes. Maybe if they're trying to get the same snack.
But she's pretty vicious.
I can imagine. I've seen it. I've seen the passion that she has.
She has a lot of passion. That's what we will say. She has a lot of passion.
More passion, more energy, more footwork. Anyways. Okay, so my highs and lows, I wouldn't say are as big as yours. A couple highs. I don't think I talked about this. Did I talk about this last week? I started watching Sex in the City. Did I talk about that last week? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm still watching it. I still love it.
It's only been a week. I'm still here.
And you were talking about like, oh, not feeling good. I was like, she should watch Sex in the City. It would make her feel better.
You know what? That is an excellent comfort show. I'm going to watch that and maybe the Hannah Berner comedy special.
Oh, yeah. That looks funny.
It looks pretty funny. So one of those two. That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
Woohoo! Okay, so that can't be my high again, I guess. But we got a water dispenser, like a 5-gallon jug water dispenser thing. And that's a high for me because, well, Becca knows it too. We grew up in the country. So we grew up in well water and it was delicious. You could just drink out of the tap. Didn't have to worry about anything. I'm in Gainesville-ish area now, which is a city, I guess you would say. Some would probably consider it small, but to me, this is ginormous. It's like 130,000 people. And we get city water, right? And they must have just put some sort of treatment through it because it tastes like drinking freaking pool water. It is disgusting. I'm serious. They
chlorinate a lot of the water.
Yeah, and it's always been like that, but it's been bearable. And especially if we put it through our Brita, it tasted fine. But I don't know, a couple weeks ago, they must have revamped it because you could smell it. You could be in the kitchen,
that's not good.
Turn on the water, and it was, it smells just so treated. And we're just like, no, this sucks. This tastes terrible. You could taste it through the Brita. And so, we got the Mulligans, something water people. But the big 5-gallon jugs.
So do they deliver the water to you?
Yeah, we got
kind of like a milk delivery, but a water gallon delivery.
Well, yeah, and you get a lot at a time because we have a garage and we don't use it for our cars. So Ruben got, I think, 12 or 15 5-gallon jugs. Yeah, well, because then you don't have to get it every week, right? It's going to be a maybe once a month thing or every 3 weeks. So, but yeah, they rolled it up and they brought it in and all the jugs, and it is wonderful. First, I was like, Ruben, this is so dramatic. This is ridiculous, but it's great water, and he
Yeah.
likes his water cold, and so it's cold, and he's in heaven. And I agree. I have my water right here. You can hear it. And it's so easy to fill up. It just makes drinking water easier and a much more pleasant experience again.
Well, and filling the freaking Brita. Well, we like fill a Brita thing, like
What?
a square Brita.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's what we had.
You know what I mean? It's not a Brita filter that is on our tap or anything.
No, yeah,
so
we
you
had the container,
always
like a
have
water
to take
jug.
it out and fill it. Our water's actually not that bad here.
Nice.
If I drink it from the tap, it's fine. It's just I feel better putting things through a Brita.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was in the same boat, but whatever they did, it just ruined it. And it tastes like freaking pool water, dirty pool water. It's wild.
Ew.
Okay, that's dramatic. It's not dirty.
You should probably call somebody.
It's probably just, I'm just assuming they just like recently really retreated it, and I'm sure it'll maybe fade out.
Yeah. You know what? That's the kind of shit though that people need to tell you about.
Yeah.
Like put a sign on my door.
That you're retreating this. Let me know.
Or they honestly, maybe they put something in the mailbox and that's the junk mail we always throw away. But like when people do things like that, or the other day there was construction and we couldn't get out of our parking lot. I'm like,
trapped.
Not that I need to, I literally had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But I was still infuriated sometimes, sorry, if you're watching, you can just see Phoebe's foot grazing past my face every once in a while. But it's like, tell me that this is happening. Knock on my door, be like, doop, 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 doop. Do you need to go anywhere today? Because you should leave now.
Yeah, like you're trapped otherwise, or you can walk.
Before we drill a hole into the ground and you can't leave until 7 p.m. tonight. It makes me so mad.
First world problems, man.
Yeah, if you're like gonna douche stuff to the water and then like it changes the smell or the color of the water, it's like, how about you give us a notice? Send me a text.
Yeah, so dealing with that, but
anyways,
we got the water. Anyways, these people trying to ruin my day intentionally. Just kidding. But yeah, we got the water dispenser and another high, I guess you could say. Not you, I guess, but it's going to be a high. It's not niche necessarily, but I hit a new deadlift personal record today. So I do a training app, and we were really focusing on deadlifts for the past 6 or 8 weeks. And today I went for a 1 rep max. And so I got in 275-pound deadlift, and I felt fucking jacked afterwards. I felt great. It was awesome. It was really cool what you're capable of when you just, when you don't psych yourself out. Cause I was excited, but also nervous. So yeah, I was just stoked about that. I posted about it on my Insta story. Cause I was like, I'm going to hype myself up. This is really cool. That's a lot of weight, but I think a low from that will be, I'm probably going to be sore tomorrow. And, that's not a low, but that's probably going to be my low. I'm just going to feel a bit worn out. Like shit, that was a lot.
Well, I always feel like it's not the day after, it's the second day after.
Yeah.
Where I am the most sore because you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. I'm out of the woods. Then that second day, it's, this sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I think I finally just stopped not being sore from that weight, like functional weight training, like CrossFit hit whatever type of class last Saturday. This is the first morning I woke up like, I feel normal. Let's go do it all over.
That really hit you hard for a whole week of recovery.
Yeah, listen, my 15-pound dumbbells don't even sniff your deadlift. So listen, a girl is trying and she is being inspired by your achievements. I love in your Instagram video you can like see your body like kind of shaking during the 275 when you're trying to get it up. You're like, but it is It was
true
very
facial
impressive.
expressions. Oh,
Yeah,
thank
like
you.
you could tell you were really like going for it.
Well, yeah, and it feels how it looks and how it feels, of course, can be so different. It feels like I'm going so slow. It feels like you're going at snail pace, right? And then you watch it back, and I was like, that didn't actually look that bad for like how it felt in my mind. So no, it's funny to be able to record it to, of course, like hype yourself up, but just kind of watch it back to see how does it feel versus what does it actually look like. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm stoked for that. And I really don't have any other lows. It's been a pretty solid week. We got back in routine this week, and I was just able to get a lot of ish done. And I think it finally stopped raining. That was going to be another low. I feel like Mother Nature knows when I'm going to record this podcast and really just downpours and tries to mess it up. But she's shown some sunshine, so I think we're going to be good for the rest of the episode.
If you heard background noise on the last episode, it had to have been the rain. Em and I can't think of anything else it would have been, because you haven't heard my AC, which is a big standing unit that honestly looks like a refrigerator in our living room. I'm like, was it that? Because it was really hot. It's been really hot here, but we think it was the rain.
I'm sure it's been so hot.
Em, it's been like
I know it's been hot.
Florida hot here.
I know.
We don't just want.
You don't want this kind of Florida. Summer.
No, that's why I live here.
Yeah, I feel it though, but hopefully you guys are getting some cooler weather back, and
we it rained. It was like 60 degrees this morning. It felt amazing.
Jealous. Okay, that's my low.
I shivered. I shivered when I walked outside. I was like, ooh, it's brisk and I'm cold.
Love that. Vicariously living through you on that. But yes,
I might get a sweater this morning. Sorry, I'm done rubbing in it.
I will bring all of my sweatshirts up for the family beach trip, even though we're going to be at the beach.
I was going to say, it's going to be hot again by the time you get up here.
If I catch a breeze, sweatshirt immediately going on. I love it. Well, I don't love that you get to not suffer and I have to suffer. But aside from all of our highs and lows, which we had a pretty good variety going on this week, I want to jump into our interview portion, I guess you could call it. I have my questions written down, and I thought this, again, would just be a really fun convo for you to kind of reflect on, right? Because it's fun to just look back on how far you've come, because when you get to a point, you forget sometimes, whoa, like look at all the stuff I did to get here. But again, for anyone listening, you've had a really awesome journey of really finding awesome careers that fulfill you and working with amazing people. And so I'm excited to dive in so other ladies can hear about it as well and hopefully maybe inspire their own journey. And so we kind of call you the corporate cowgirl because well, I guess you can give us the rundown of your corporate journey and how you kind of become the corporate cowgirl that we know today.
Yeah, I like the corporate cowgirl thing. I'm trying to make happen. Like I'm trying to make
fetch happen.
Is just, you know, sometimes when we say corporate or corporate cowgirl, this is anyone who works in an office type setting or for a company, right? It does not have to be a big mothership like a Cargill to be corporate,
or like a Wall Street, right? Like no.
Yeah, it could be a local corporate. Or just, you know, someone who's not on the farm every day or who is not an entrepreneur, right? So I have always felt a bit left out of the cowgirl world because I'm not on a ranch or on a farm. And it's like, man, y'all don't know a rodeo like a corporate rodeo, like managing corporate America and managing the big man. So that's where I've kind of tried to create this idea of a corporate cowgirl. But
I like it.
Being in office-based jobs or in corporate type jobs has just always really worked well for me. And I think part of that is because I have had consistently positive experiences.
Yeah.
There have been negative people or negative moments, but I have never had a negative experience or a negative job. And that starts, you know, before I graduated, I had internships every year, some political, which I learned very quickly I wasn't I'm not a politics
Not your
girl. That
realm.
was being at the state capitol and seeing how people like treated each other and how people acted and how shisty people were was just, as an 18-year-old girl and a 19-year-old girl, I was like, maybe, now I would reconsider. But anyways, back then I was like, okay, I thought I wanted to be the first female secretary of ag in Pennsylvania, and I think I'm going to give a hard pass on that. So once I learned that, I had more communications and marketing based internships. And then when I graduated from Penn State, I started in a dairy marketing specialist role at Cargill. Or I think actually I started as like a content marketing specialist.
Oh, really?
That job did not last long. It was maybe like 5 months before they realized we don't really know what they kind of made this role up, or like there wasn't a lot of definition around this role.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they started a dairy marketing team, it just made a lot of sense for me to move over to that
Okay.
at
Okay.
Cargill. And I spent about 6 years at Cargill. It was amazing. And then after that, I had a job at Bader Rudder, which is a marketing agency, managing the dairy and cattle accounts for Zoetis. And so Beta Rudder, I actually had an internship with them in college, which is what we can dig into more. Really
Mm-hmm.
like sparked a lot of things. And then it was amazing to go back there. And then after that, I went to Zimpro, where I got a global experience. So I was a global content marketing manager, and I got to work with people from all over the world. Like there would be people in Ukraine, France, and China,
That's
in
wild.
Russia, all
Yeah.
at once on a call, right? It was
Dang.
nuts. Thailand, Brazil, Mexico, all the things. And so that was really cool. And I got to learn a lot about different species beyond dairy. And then I am now here at a dairy processing company, where I work on a milk brand. So
Yeah.
it has been 10 years since I graduated.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wait. So, oh yeah. Because I graduated from high school in 2013. My freshman year was 2014, and yeah, that's when you graduated from Penn State.
yeah, so I'm on my, I thought I would have been a Cargill lifer until some changes happened in the structuring of the marketing team and roles that were available. And it was just a perfect time for me to transition elsewhere. And I finally feel like I have like a really good home again. I had really good, let's say, stepping stones,
Yeah.
but I feel really at home where I am now with what I'm doing. And I could have never guessed I would be a brand manager for a line of fluid dairy products, but it just makes so much sense now that I'm here.
Yeah, it's all kind of come full circle. And I love how you
Mm-hmm.
talked about looking at everything as a stepping stone, right? Because I think all of us have been in positions, whether it was like a job in high school or an internship or a full blown career, that you feel like this is not where I want to be, right? And it can be really easy to
Yeah.
fall into a really hard headspace with that. But like you said, you can look at it though, and maybe it takes some time to be able to look back on it in a positive light, but being able to look at it like, okay, that maybe
Yeah.
wasn't where I wanted to be forever, but it got me to here I am, because you've lived a couple different lives within kind of the corporate world, right? In different positions,
Yeah.
different teams, and it got you back to where now, like you said, you feel a little bit more at home with that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And honestly, whenever you feel like you shouldn't be there, that's probably the best thing for you
Mm,
in the moment, because you have to understand that it's just as important to experience in real life what you don't like.
true. Very true.
Like, it's kind of like dating.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to know what you don't like to fully understand what you do like. And I have learned I don't like this as much. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like politics and I don't like pharmaceuticals. That's just not my jam.
Yeah.
Those were things that I did not enjoy working on or marketing as much as animal care and welfare and nutrition, and now dairy products for on the consumer side.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a good tidbit. And I think something that we can all kind of take away from, because I think we're all beginning, maybe not we all, but you look back at some generations, right? And you get in a position and it's like, I'm going to stick this out literally forever, just because that was kind of the thing. And now I think more people within our generation and younger just begin to realize that if I don't like this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stick it out, right? Like we're I think just finding more roles that really kind of fulfill us or that we want to try to, at least feel neutral about it, right? Create
Yeah.
some sort of positive experience. And for you, kind of going through this journey, because like you said, you had a really great job out of college. You felt like, okay, I could definitely kind of stick here for a while, but then you began to realize maybe you wanted to transition out of that. How did you continue to find what you were really passionate about, what you did and didn't like? And then how did you continue to find those roles, find those careers, or did they kind of find you?
Yeah, so I think going back to what I said of understanding what you don't like
Mm-hmm.
and always being willing to try something. So I at Cargill was always willing to do anything or try anything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like, do I have a chance to be on this project? Sure, let me give it a try. Let me meet these people. Let me figure out what this means. Let me write this story. Let me plan this event. Let me evaluate the performance of this advertising campaign. Let me go speak to this group of customers or students at a career fair. Whatever it was, I always wanted to try it. I was also early in my career, and I think even now, I try to never be too good for something. So I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people, especially, this might make me sound like an old lady, but sometimes people forget that you've got to do a lot of grunt work.
Yeah, like it's
You've
gonna
you've
suck. That's part of it.
yeah, you don't just go into a job early in your career and become the boss.
Yep.
Like, you've got to do the grunt work. And the grunt work is where you learn and you figure out what you're good at, what you like, what you absolutely despise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in those projects that you really start to learn, hey, this is where I think I can add the most value and purpose. And so for those first couple years of my career and just being willing to do anything, and I would say having really good supervisors and mentors, I started to understand what are my best skills. It's good to
Mm-hmm.
understand your strengths and your weaknesses so you know what you can amplify or what you need to work on. But as you go through your career, it's also good to know, okay, I only have so much time, and I only have so much to give. Where can I give the most value
Yep.
in these jobs? And what I've learned, like at Cargill, was that I'm I'm good at bringing energy to a project, but also keeping it organized and keeping people accountable. So
Mm-hmm.
I have mastered this skill set of, like, when I call, people are going to answer. Or when I say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, here's the plan XYZ, I have proven that I am accountable and I am good at organizing and managing things and treating people fairly in a project.
Yeah.
So that has been a skill that at Cargill, I think that and just the, hey, I like having a good time too. I know we got to get work done, but like, we're here for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, this is insane. I'm not going to be here and not have fun. So
Yeah.
I think that skill then translated really well to whenever I went to Bader Rudder at a marketing agency and being the person who managed clients. So,
Mm-hmm.
right, there's one skill that I was like, okay, I'm really good at this, and this brings a lot of value to people and it brings people joy. Okay, let's take this and apply it to a marketing agency where I will learn more of the nitty gritty details about advertising and branding and strategy and all of those things. And, I realized, okay, pharmaceutical doesn't have a lot of creative freedom. Basically, legal teams are writing copy. Like, you can.
Yeah.
And Beta Rudder did amazing work. I just realized this isn't for me.
Yep.
This
Yep.
doesn't bring me joy. Frankly, it just stresses me out. I don't get jazzed or excited about this content. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I wonder what, maybe it's a dairy thing. Maybe I should try to branch out. And so that's when I went to Zimpro
Mm-hmm.
and I had the opportunity to work on a global scale and work on multiple species. So I talked about tilapia, I talked about broilers versus layers and chickens
Yep.
and Ecuador versus the Midwest. Like, I learned an insane amount there. And then I also got to work with different cultures, different people. And something I, learned there again was that I'm really good at organizing and facilitating. I'm a good communicator within my team, but also I'm good at communicating through a specific voice on a brand. So I got really good at brand work and content development and creative direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, okay, these are skills that I really am good at. But the global scale, I felt like I was too far away from producers
Yeah.
and from farmers. And I also realized dairy is really what gets me jazzed. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I know that global is too big for me. It's just not my, I was like, okay, that's not what brings me as much joy as being more directly working with producers or dairy farmers. And you know what? I'm getting really good at the content and the advertising and the project management side. But as our dad would say, I don't know how the sausage is made. I couldn't tell you about margin. I couldn't tell you about how to evaluate a market and understand what the opportunity is there to make money, like to genuinely tell you where to launch a product and why. So I thought, okay, you know what? I think I need to figure out that if I ever wanted to have my own business someday, right?
Yep.
So, and then randomly a brand manager position came up, and I think you and I, and really any kid that is raised in dairy, is like a dream job is to promote milk, like to
Yeah, right?
convince people to buy more milk, to drink more milk, to love
Mm-hmm.
milk. And when this opportunity came up, and I had half the skill set already that I'm really good at, the brand management, the advertising, the content, and then the more nitty gritty day-to-day operations, working with warehouses, working with plants, working with all different facets of the business.
Yeah.
I was honest and said, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can learn this. But you've got to take a chance on me. And
Yeah.
there's not going to be a single person that you interview that cares more about people drinking milk than me.
Yeah, like, nope, no one's gonna beat my passion.
Nope, no one's. I might not be great at this for a couple of years. I will learn as I go, but no one's gonna care more. No one's gonna want to get better more than me. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was really my selling point. And now I'm in this role to kind of end this journey of learning things and using that to apply and decide what your next step is that I every day I am humbled in this position.
Yeah, like, whoa.
Every day I am off the side pretending like I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And I'm Googling what that acronym means,
Yeah, like, what?
or what this customer question is. And something that I'm learning is, again, what makes up for me not knowing what EDI or SAP stands for
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that I am really good at bringing a group together and encouraging people to be a part of that group, to be accountable, and to, come to the meetings prepared, right? I'm bringing in my skill set of creating an environment for success, while I might not know or have the skill set to like do these things myself, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I really want to be good at this, but I'm not good at it yet. But I'm bringing in my other skill sets that I've learned that I'm good at and have validated that I'm good at to like make up for it.
I love that. Well, I love that it was not a lot of trial and error, right? Because like you've done very
But I
well
mean,
in
it
these
really, it
roles.
really has been a lot of trial and error. And honestly, at every single job, I had a great boss. And I had great bosses who, shout out, let's go through them in order. Shout out EB, shout out Josh, shout out Lou or Lori, shout out Wendy, and now shout out Amanda. Like, and every single time that I've had a good boss, they have pushed me and also recognized, like, okay, we've been on the same page of the direction that I should go and that I want to go.
Yeah.
And they've always found me good mentors. And like, I don't know, having those people there, I think, is a critical part too of like, they're helping you figure it out and you trust them to help you figure it out, especially when you're young. Because I think your manager and your supervisors have a lot of influence on you in your earlier years. But as you get older, it's more of a peer than a mentor, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, community and the environment that you're in can make or break a job. It can make or break
Yeah.
a career, right? It can be the picture perfect job on paper, but if you don't feel inspired, if you don't feel empowered, if you
Hmm.
don't feel supported by the people that you're with, you're not necessarily going to be able to get people excited to want to really work towards that mission, right? And so I think it's
Yeah.
awesome that you've just been surrounded by people that are so passionate about what they're doing that they want to help
Hmm.
others, kind of get on that same level, get on that same page. And then eventually, if they want to move on, they don't hold a grudge, right? They want to help you do that as well. And just
Yeah.
recognizing that, like you've just said, that not everyone is for everything. Everyone is going to have their own unique passions and their own unique
Hmm.
skill sets. And I think it's so okay to explore that, because you made a really good point as well of, I think with social media and just honestly kind of entrepreneurship, or just the accessibility of being able to do your own thing now, I think a lot of people think that when you jump into something, it's automatically going to be amazing, easy, and perfect. And that's not the reality.
No,
If that's
it's really
jumping
not.
into a traditional job, like a blue collar job, or starting your own business, it's got to suck for a little bit, right? Like you've got
Yeah.
to go through the trenches to learn what you're doing. And that's okay. I think, again, sometimes we see this unrealistic image of, oh, like look at all these people with the most amazing perfect job, and then you just think that's what it is. But there's always going to be the moments that aren't the best, and you really got
Yeah.
to kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? Isn't that the saying?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love that part of it. And with you being someone who's really gotten to experience a lot of different lives within your career, I know you've kind of chatted about it already, just even in the terms of importance of mentors and the people that you're surrounded with. But for anyone else who is maybe just getting started in their career, whether, that's out of high school, out of college, or maybe you're like, you were a stay-at-home mom and now you want to get back in the workforce, or for someone who's in a position that maybe they don't love or they don't completely align with it, what do you think has been the most helpful for you in finding those other roles? And I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, connections and such, but I would love to hear you dive into that a little more, because I know it can sometimes feel very discouraging and very disheartening when you feel like you're trying so hard to find a role that fulfills you and you can't. And it's like, what's the matter with me, right?
Be nice to everyone you meet.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. That's it.
That's it.
That's
Bye.
it.
Podcast is
Literally,
done.
that's it. And I'm gonna answer this through a story. So if there's anything you take away, it's be nice
Mm-hmm.
and listen and pay attention to people. Like if there's anything, keep a note of people you meet and like literally just track things. Whatever it takes to remember like unique little details about people that allow you to be even nicer the next time you see them. This is why I
Yeah.
say that. So my last internship out of school was, or like at the end of college, was at Vader
Mm-hmm.
Rudder. And so the reason I found that internship is my dairy judging coach was like, oh, Becca, Dale told Josh, who then became my boss at Cargill.
Oh,
It's
wait,
like
I forgot
awful.
Josh was there first.
Yes. So Josh went to Penn State and Dale was both of our judging coaches. Like he knew both of us. And we went to World Dairy Expo for the national judging contest. And Josh is always asking Dale, hey, do you have any students or kids that would be interested in this? He's like, you know what? I don't really know what Becca wants to do, but I feel like she would have fun at a marketing agency. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, like let's move to Milwaukee. Why not? And so I had my first interview at World Dairy Expo, and I sent Josh my resume. That was the first time something ever came back smothered in red pen. And when I say red pen, it just means like edits, right?
Yeah.
And now I love the red pen because nothing amazing is ever done without a red pen.
Yep.
But I got that back. I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
Does
this is
this guy think
scary.
I'm an idiot? And like, no, he just says like, hey, if we're going to hire you, I know what their expectations are. I believe in you. Here are the edits you have to make. And so that was one of those moments of realizing, okay, I was nice to Dale. I'm nice to other people. He mentioned me for this job.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was at the agency, like Josh was an amazing supervisor. Lou was there, who then became my supervisor again later at like Beta Rudder, and David
Yeah.
Jordan was also there. And I did a presentation on understanding Generation Y, WHY, and
Mm.
it was basically teaching him millennial slang, which I now think 10 years later is what I need a Gen Zer to do.
Yeah, I
for
was
me.
just about to say, we're already well past that. We need the Gen Z. No, like, even there's something below Gen Z now.
Gen
even
Alpha.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
we need their slang now.
And so, and then David became the chief growth officer and someone who helped me advance my career at Beta Rudder while I was there and gave me a lot of opportunity. So these were three key people, even just during my internship, that I have had critical career experiences with post graduation. So I go to Cargill, and they start developing a dairy marketing team, and they said, hey, do you have anyone, like, you talk about your supervisor from that agency a lot, should he apply to be your new supervisor on this marketing team? I was like, yeah. So then Josh comes on board, is, someone at Cargill who is my supervisor again, and we have an amazing team, and all these amazing things happen. But then that team restructured, and I was going to be put into a role that was no longer a dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And, because of the relationship that Josh and I had built, we could have an honest conversation of, wow, I don't think this is the move for me. I think it's time for me to like go somewhere that challenges me. Hey, you should call Lou or Lori. So then you go to Beta Rudder, and it's like, okay, I have that interview, and I already had that relationship because I was nice, I was kind, I was courteous, I tried, even if I wasn't always good at it, I always tried and brought like a good energy.
Yeah.
So I think, they know that going into the interview. And then after that, it's like, okay, I don't think this is for me. Zimpro. Justin, who used to be Josh's boss at Cargill,
Yeah.
and our family friend who knows I can get shit done, puts in a word for me at Zimpro, because honestly, I was not qualified for that Zimpro job because I had no global experience, and they were looking for that in other candidates. So without Justin there, I would not have gotten that job. Without him to vouch for me, I would not have gotten that job. And so, and then finally, the last point on my advice of being nice is Becca Foltz was a person in college who I knew, and she and I just always, if we were ever together, like had a great laugh, just enjoyed each other's company. And again, we were nice to each other. Cool. She messaged me on LinkedIn, hey, this brand manager position is open. And honestly, she didn't even intend for me to apply for it because I was not looking.
Yeah.
She just
true.
said, hey, I know you have built this great network of people who could apply for this. And I responded,
Me.
how about, I literally said, how about me? She was like, oh, sure. That's not what I meant, but I will vouch for you. And so she did. She vouched for me through the interview process because I did not have the same connections there that I had previously. And so even now, while I'm in this role, like, I have had a lot of great opportunities with our farmers to like get buy-in on ideas I have, or support from our farmer owners because of, the relationships we've had through 4-H or all these things. And it's just an endless cycle of someone coming in and helping you when you need something because you've been nice to them.
I love
And
it.
I will also say people answer your phone calls and emails a lot faster when you are nice.
True. They're like, oh, okay.
They're like,
she's not
oh,
gonna
God.
She's not gonna tear us up.
Yeah. No, it's like you have the accountability and you're kind. Like, I'm not calling you to ruin your day. But yeah, I don't know. And does that answer your question? I know these are long-winded answers, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to wrap up 10 years, right? In a little
Yes, that's
podcast episode.
actually. Yeah, that's
but
yeah.
I love it, and I think it does just talk about the importance of the small moments that can lead into those big changes. And I know this can happen in any industry, right? But where we have our experiences within ag and dairy, and I know that's a little bit of a smaller industry, but it's also why it's one of my favorites because you can create those connections that can lead you
Yeah.
into, now a role that you're in that you didn't even expect, not something you ever really thought about was something that you wanted to do. And I feel like for me listening to this, more than just, okay, yes, be nice to people, it's also say yes to opportunities, whether you want to do them or not, right? Kind of like you
Yeah.
said, or maybe if you recognize, I don't know if I'm good at this or not. So say yes to the
Yeah.
opportunities and
Well, and
swing
you
for
know
the
what?
fences.
Actually, something that also made something else pop into my mind. I'm really simplifying it with be nice to people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
listen, I'm not always the nicest person. If you know, like, there are spicy sides to everyone, and
She's a mean sister.
there are spicy only when people deserve it. There are spicy moments when warranted.
Yeah, you can't let people
But
be jerks.
like the other piece of advice is, whenever you're being nice and authentic and willing to try things, you are also, I think, a lot of the movement I had. Yes, I was given the opportunity because of past experiences with people.
Mm-hmm.
However, I made my choices based on, do I like these people? Do I
Yeah.
want this person to be my boss? I don't know that I would have had that same experience if I did not have um, Josh really as my first primary supervisor.
Yeah.
Like, an EB too, even though her tenure was shorter at Cargill. And then even, oh my gosh, Emily Stepp will kill me. Duh. She was
Yeah,
my,
it's
like,
dairy. Yep.
my first boss at the Center for Dairy Excellence. So truly my first boss
Yeah.
was Emily. And that was just like, I mean, she was my best friend's older sister. Like, and
Yeah, like, oh, this can't be that bad.
my lunch break was going to pick us up lunch and letting out her puppy for a pee break and snuggling her dog. Like, and she also knew I was capable and challenged me, and has since, especially in my role now and in my volunteer role with Dairy Girl
Mm-hmm.
Network or DGN, M has come in as a person who I name drop her because she's, VP of the farm program. Like, that's a badass B, right?
Yeah.
I name drop her anytime I get. So yeah, it's these being nice, working hard, but also knowing who you want to work for. Is that
Mm.
someone you want to emulate? And it doesn't always have to be the same type of supervisor, because every supervisor I have had is 1,000% different. But at their
Yeah.
core, like, I can learn from them. I can learn how they lead, and they're just good people who I can tell authentically want me to do well.
Ooh, I really, really like that
That was pretty
because
good.
that oh
That was pretty
yeah,
good.
pat on the shoulder for that one. No, that
Whew.
was very good because there are a lot of different factors that someone has to take into consideration when applying for jobs or choosing a job or career, whatever it may be. And that should be one that people consider. And I know,
Mhm.
again, that may not be, let's say, feasible for like every single person in every single role. Sometimes you may not, again, you may not have that opportunity. But if you do, like you said, Becca, even if, let's say, like if someone would have to choose, okay, maybe this job is more money or XYZ, and maybe this job is maybe a few steps down, but I'm going to be in this amazing environment, this amazing,
Mhm.
group of people. From what you've been able to experience, that's potentially then going to be something that really propels you forward in a way that feels more authentic to you. So I feel like
Yeah.
that can always be a great piece of advice of, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you get to decide what's, on the top of your priority list, but for you, you've discovered that being
Yeah.
surrounded by people that really wanted to see you win as well was really helpful. And yeah, saying yes to opportunities, never being too good for anything, and then also being kind to other people. It's been a really awesome part of you getting to propel your journey forward.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you've had, I don't want to say like a unicorn experience of being in these kind of jobs, but you
I
have. I
kind of
mean,
have. I kind of have. I kind of
you
have.
have because my interns and my jobs, it was with good people, right? But it was just not something I was like, wow, these are all awesome. I can see myself at any of these for years. And I know other people, a lot can relate to your experience, but I know a lot can relate to mine where you just feel stuck, where you're just like, maybe this isn't for me. So let's
Hmm.
hear some negatives, right? Let's bring some reality into this, maybe.
Yeah.
but not in any terrible sense. But what has been some of the hardest parts of this journey for you? And that can be that can take on a lot of different meanings, right? And you can take it any way you want, but then how have you also worked through those hard moments or those situations?
Yeah. So before I answer that, another thought I had, um, oh my God, what was my thought? Hold on. What was my thought? No, it was good. Oh no, I remember. Don't delete this. This is real.
I'm
This
so
is
smart.
I'm
No,
so smart.
that's funny. Wait. Oh, don't forget it. But that's me. The whole time I'm like, you're talking, I'm like, okay, I can't forget my response. I can't forget
Oh
what I
my
want to
God,
say. I
wait.
can't forget. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no, I remember my thought. Wow. Sorry. I was like, this is gonna be so good. Now everyone's gonna be disappointed. But what I think, I have had my unicorn experience because corporate America meshes well with my personality and the way I like to
True.
work, right? So let's just take that into consideration, that I am type A, high energy, and I really like to be recognized for my work. And if there's
Yeah.
anything corporate America does, they like to give a shout out via email or a post on social media of like, oh, you're killing it. So I
Yeah.
think that also plays a part in it and is something to consider. That's another piece of advice to consider.
That's very important though too. Yeah, that makes a lot of
Yes.
sense. And I'm glad you remembered it.
Oh my God. Literally, my brain went black. It was
That's
like
the worst
oh my God.
feeling when you're in any sort of conversation and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to drop this nugget of information that's going to be so good. Then you're like, shit.
It was like absolute panic. Like, oh my God. Literally couldn't even remember my name in that situation. Like,
who am I? What am I doing here?
Oh my God. Okay,
so that's the downfall
anyways,
of corporate America. Literally
yes.
turns your brain to mush. Just kidding.
Honestly, it kind of does.
So yeah,
but
hardest
still,
part.
let me try to like summarize what the overall in the last 10 years. So there have been different challenges throughout, I think, my career. A lot of times it's people. Like, you just deal with some gnarly personalities and honestly people who you might think are incapable. And that's really rude, as I just talked about being kind. Okay, like, just take everything I say with a grain of salt, people. I literally just forgot my name.
Yeah, well, we're not taking this too serious. Okay,
But
relax.
so, like, the thing with corporate America is you have, other than saying, yes, I want to work for this manager, yes, I want to work for this brand, yes, I like the team that I would be joining, you have no control over who you work with. None.
Yep.
Owning your own business, being an entrepreneur, you create your own team. You curate your own team. In corporate America, you don't. And you just have to deal with the cards you've been dealt, or play with the cards you've been dealt, whatever that is. And so I have experienced really difficult people to work with.
Yeah.
And people who, at the end of the day, it's like, we're not curing cancer here. And that's something we started saying a lot, especially after our dad was sick. And it's like, y'all, we're literally,
we're marketing. We're marketers. Relax.
Literally, we're selling feed. We're selling pharmaceutical. It is important work, but I think this leads me into saying that the biggest thing I have learned and the biggest negative experience I have had is the lack of perspective in corporate America.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm dealing with people or beliefs or personalities that stress me out or come in real hot on something, when at the end of, or ask for unrealistic turnaround times, or create chaos in people's lives. For what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For nothing. Now, there are some situations that are really important to the company, and you should be working for something that you want to work really hard for,
you care
and sometimes might have to push a little bit harder or create a little bit of chaos for. But something that I have learned, especially since COVID, and I don't know if it was COVID or Joe, to be honest, but I had
Yeah.
it was both at the same time. And honestly, even now Phoebe, which sounds silly because she's a dog, but
But it's other priorities in your life.
it is other priorities. And then my friends started having babies, and all these things started happening where when I was 21 to 27, it was like, work is my personality, work is
Yeah.
what I do. And then when I got things in my life that brought me joy beyond work, and I started building more of those like foundational relationships, like with Joe, it just complete in COVID, it was, I mean, that was just a
Yeah,
whirlwind
that
of
threw everyone for
what
a
the
loop.
hell? Like, what the hell did we just go through? Like, really,
Yep.
truly. And just being home alone a lot during COVID, and all these things happened that just hit me of, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have zero perspective on, and maybe, and you know what else I think it was, Emmy, is when I left Cargill. And
Yeah.
then over the last 4 years, I've had 3 jobs. And I
Yeah.
was so easily replaceable at every single job.
Yeah.
Sure, I still have these great relationships, and people will say, hey, we miss you, or hey, or like I still have these great catch up conversations and we reminisce. But at the end of the day, they hang up that phone or they exit out of Instagram or that text and they forget all about me.
Yeah.
And so that has given me so much perspective of, damn, I am replaceable. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
humbling. But it also just kind of gives you this different context of when someone is stressing you out, or when someone is just treating people inappropriately or negatively over
Mm-hmm.
something that when we leave for the day, no one else in my life understands. Like,
Yeah.
if we're going to argue about, do we do the red cap or the blue cap, which
Yep.
completely made up scenario. I'm just literally looking at milk caps over here. It's a completely made up scenario. This has never happened to me, but it's a metaphor. And so we're going to spend 2 hours arguing about this decision of, at the end of the day, I go
Why?
home. Joe doesn't know that. You don't know that. Mom, dad don't know that. Ty, Aaron, like Phoebe.
Yeah.
No one knows. My future kids, they don't know and they don't care. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what I, once you start to really have those, that life and those foundational relationships that mean everything to you,
Mm-hmm.
the perspective of corporate America and how people treat each other or the things they say is just kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is, people got to relax, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that that is, I think that that comes also with a new generation coming in and
I
having
was just
been through
about to.
and having
Yep.
been through COVID. Now I think there's a balance of how
Mm-hmm.
much you care and how much you don't care and how far you take this perspective conversations. And this sounds really negative the way I'm saying it, but frankly, it has brought me so much more joy in my job because I understand it's a job. I
Yeah. I don't
work
think.
to live,
Yeah.
I don't live to work. And so that negative also comes back to a pro of corporate or office job, is that you can leave it
Yeah.
at the end of the day, versus like entrepreneur, you're kind of like making your job and your work a part of your personality, and maybe that
Yeah.
brings you value and purpose and joy. And so it's all of these just like factors that you've got to figure out of what makes me happy and like what is bringing me joy and just allowing me to live. So
Mm-hmm.
short story long,
Short story long. There it is.
perspective is the worst part of corporate America.
Yeah. Well,
The
and
lack thereof.
mm-hmm. And you touched on a couple points there that I was thinking as you were talking about. And yeah, that's true in the entrepreneurship thing too, as well. I mean, it can be relevant to anything, but we'll put that into another episode. But I love that you mentioned though, we're working to live. We're not living to work. And I think that
Yeah.
is the perspective shift that is, with every generation, right? There's going to be a way that you view work and your career in a different way. And I think we are just beginning to realize that it's not that serious. And again, like you
Yeah.
said, there has to be a balance, right? Yes,
Yeah.
care, don't try, like don't not try with the career that
Yeah.
you're in. You need to put effort in, but also, yeah, at the end of the day, recognize, okay, I'm valuable. I have a really awesome skill set, but if this is
And that's
impacting
that.
me in such, yeah, yeah. And it's like, that's not worth me running myself into the ground over, because like you
No.
said, ultimately I am replaceable. And there are other things in my life that, I do have higher on my priority list. And You don't want a career. And again, if your career is at the top of your list, great. Then this probably isn't necessarily going to be something that you would listen to. But if it's not at the top of your list, that's where I think it can be so important that we, yeah, just continue to really work on that perspective, work on that mindset shift. And
Yeah.
I even think just even trying to find a job that isn't necessarily, maybe it doesn't check all of your amazing boxes, but it allows you to enjoy life in a way that allows you to show up to a job like, hey,
Yeah.
this allows me to live my life in a way that
Yeah.
I enjoy. It allows me maybe the
Yeah.
flexibility, enough money. And I think people are even starting to realize that. Like, you don't have to find the career, the job that you love for the rest of your life. Or maybe it's like, oh, I'm like so passionate about this. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
if you can show up, get it done, do well, and then go enjoy life, that's great as well.
Yeah. Your entire sense of self the does not have to be tied to your job or your accomplishments. And that's where
That's a hard one to work past.
Well, and I mean, it's crazy. I worked through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm working through it now, even with Dairy Girl Fitness. I know that's a different combo, but yeah, just we are more than a career, a job, and there's so many more things about us.
So many more things. But some people
Yeah.
love that, and that's fine
again. Yep.
for them. But
Yeah.
and what I will say is that by understanding that my job is my job and that's all it is, and that I do make a difference while I'm there, I've become a better boss. Well, I became a boss, so I guess I started from ground zero.
Yeah, like this is your starting point, and this is the lever
so
down here.
I don't know that one counts. I've become a better leader in general. I've become a better teammate. I've become a better girlfriend, fiance, wife. I've become, I feel like, a better sister and daughter. Ever since I have and I've become more productive at work when I have allowed the two to separate and to be what they are. And it took me a while to get there. And I really do think it was COVID and Joe. Yeah. I think it was COVID and Joe that gave, you could not have been hit with a harder perspective shift.
Yeah.
Than COVID and the first guy you've met that you thought you could marry.
Yep.
All at once, right? Seriously. I had never met a guy. I had met people who I liked the idea of it. I liked them because they fit the idea of what I thought I wanted in my personal life. But then when you meet that person that you're like, oh, okay. This is a new core foundation in my life. And then a societal shift like that.
Yeah.
So that's getting away from corporate America a little bit. But I think it's those seismic shifts that help you learn and understand these things as well.
Yeah, well, and help you find balance and kind of be authentic to yourself as well. And I feel like that really wraps up well into our last question, or my last question that I wanted to ask you before we dive into our weekly hot take. And I feel like you've kind of touched on this already, again, with being authentic to yourself, recognizing what are your priorities. But if there's anything else you could add to this, along with building a lot of brands and helping different teams build their brands and their messaging and working on that, how have you continued to really kind of discover, build, and just dial in on your own personal brand and really who you are as, a person, but if you want to take on other opportunities,
Yeah. So I'll narrow this down to the corporate Cowgirl brand from a professional perspective.
Yeah.
Because I have a good story about this, and this one is shorter, I promise. So I've always come in with a lot of positive energy, and I like to have fun. And I think that there is some people in corporate America who take it too seriously, beyond the necessary serious.
Yeah.
And so, but with that, the challenge that comes with that of also being a young female, and having fewer experience, not having a lot of science and technical skill set. So I'm coming in, woohoo, and I'm building this.
We're the personality hires.
Yeah, I am a personality. Literally, that's the only basketball award I ever got was the Spirit Award.
Shame.
Honestly,
the teammate.
She's nice. Let's keep her around. She's kind of funny. Let's keep her around. And so, at Cargill, and this is going to come around to having a good boss and a good mentor who you can go to with these things, is there were a couple of things that happened of people weren't taking me seriously in meetings, and that was frustrating. And I did not have a way to cope with the imposter syndrome of building, like, I don't want to become this serious inauthentic version of me, but I also want to be taken seriously in meetings. Like, I'm getting shit done. I'm good at my job. God forbid I bring some energy to this snooze fest, right?
Yeah.
It's dramatic, but I'm making a point. And then I also got some negative feedback. At one point, I wore this outfit, and I take a lot of pride in my corporate cowgirl biz casual outfits. I do a very good job at this. I take a lot of pride in it.
They are always very cute.
Someone came back on my review, my annual performance review, and said Becca dresses inappropriately.
Oh, fuck them.
And
Sorry.
That was
Sorry
the
for the
first
language.
moment I looked at Josh and said, I don't know if I am allowed to disagree with feedback I get, because I've never done that before.
Wrong.
But that is absolute bullshit. And he's like,
Yeah.
I agree, but you need to know what people, like, you asked to get this person's feedback.
Yeah.
Here's what they said. I'm like,
Well, they
okay,
suck.
okay, one, that makes me very angry and I don't agree with it, and it is one person. However, I do recognize that as I continue to grow and I find value in my opinions being heard and taken and honestly used, like, I want to be right. I want to give you an opinion that's like, yes, that makes sense.
Yep.
We're going to do that. How do I be fun and be myself and be taken seriously in an industry that's going to primarily be men who are older than me and have different generational experiences, preferences, etc. And so he got me a mentor within Cargill. Her name was Jackie Galley, and she's amazing. And she had climbed the corporate ladder and was the head of communications and had a very successful role, both from a title, financial, respect, all the things. And her and I talked through, okay, what experiences have you had that are similar to mine, and how have you navigated that? So I'm glad that I had that moment and that mentor that helped me, because that really helped me continue to build this personal, professional, corporate cowgirl brand that I did not back down from, because there was a moment I was given the opportunity to shy away from it. And instead I stood up for myself, but also realized, okay, there might be some truths hidden in here that are not this truth, but it did cause me to like reevaluate, okay, how do I make sure that I be myself and still be successful?
Yep.
And so I think that having those moments, recognizing them, and then getting help and finding people you want to emulate and talking to them.
Yeah. So taking things serious, but maybe not personal, right? Like, okay, what can I take away from this? But also not just change who I am as a person, because that doesn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah. Like, why do I have to work 10 times harder to prove to you and get 10 times more work done for you to take me seriously versus a guy my age who just walks in with a serious face, and is taken seriously faster. Okay,
yeah,
so
appearance and gender.
Oh, he doesn't wear cute shoes. He doesn't want to wear the mustard yellow suede heels, so he gets taken more seriously than me. Like, boring, snooze.
Dumb. Yeah.
Not that they're. That's just, again, a dramatic example of like, I felt like I had to work 10 times harder to be taken seriously.
But you're not alone in that. I'm sure a lot can relate.
With a good energy, and I'm not going to sit here and take this more seriously than it needs to be. And so again, there comes the perspective, but I have learned there is a balance of that, right? So I was in the fault to an extent, and Jackie was a person who really helped me navigate that and understand, how do I bring this energy in a way that makes people excited or at least willing to work with me and willing to tolerate me versus running the other way. Because if I'm going to be a project manager and a leader, I need people to respond, and I need to be a person who can keep people accountable. So it's been a 10-year journey. Some days I'm terrible at it. But yeah, so that's how I have continued to develop that personal and professional brand, because that's what makes me happy, and that's how I prefer to work. So
Heck yeah. Well, yeah, I think not just a sentence that you could wrap it up, but it's being authentic to yourself, but knowing that there's always room to improve and knowing that you're not always going to be perfect throughout it. That doesn't mean that you should skip out on opportunities because of
yeah,
that. Because yeah, you've been
yeah,
able to get a lot of opportunities because you were authentic to yourself and you were willing to take scary leaps that maybe it didn't pan out or maybe didn't get hired, but you did. And you were able to continue building your knowledge and really
yeah.
dialing in on that. So
And
I think it's awesome.
it's being authentic, but not at the cost of others.
Yeah. Like,
If
oh,
if
I'm
that
a,
makes
like,
sense.
well, yeah,
Like,
it's like
I'm gonna
if
come
someone
in
says,
and loud and abrasive and rude because that's who I am, but I'm not
yeah,
gonna
no.
take into consideration of other people around you. So it is like I like that of saying be authentic, not at the cost of others. So
Ooh, there you go. That's our slogan now. Corporate Cowgirl.
I don't
Be
even
authentic, not at
if you
the.
want a corporate word salad, that's an example of how people talk in corporate America.
I love it. Okay. Well, yeah, that I can't do that because I like making fun of activists and being mean to them. So, couldn't be me. Just kidding. I'm not mean to
Couldn't be
them, but
me.
I'm not mean to them. But if they want to act dumb, I'll act dumb. I will get to their level.
And that
Yeah.
is
So,
when you start your own business, kids.
yeah. I want to
Y'all
act
want
like
to
an
act
idiot.
dumb?
Like I'll meet you there. Yeah. So that can be another episode for
You
another
can
time
do
with
that in
Becca.
corporate America. It's just per my last email. You
Yeah.
just approach it differently.
Just proper wording to really let
Yeah.
people know this is really how I feel.
You
I hope you
say,
read
you
between the lines
big
on
dumb
this.
idiot in different ways.
Yes.
So,
Well, if
anyways,
anyone wants them, just DM us. I'm sure Becca can give you a whole list. If you're like, I really want to make
I
this hit
got
hard, Becca's like, I got it.
list upon list of ways to politely insult people.
Well, before Becca takes more away from her image that she's so nice and kind, thank you, Becca, for answering all of our questions about being a corporate cowgirl. But let's wrap up our episode with switching gears and going to our weekly hot take. And y'all know we like food, we like coffee, and it's summertime. So I thought it would be fun to not debate really, because it's just an opinion, but what is our favorite kind of summer flavor, but more specifically in coffee? Because coffee has always been around, but it's so popular now. I'm making the fun bougie drinks, the fun combinations, and I live for it. I love seasonal drinks so much. So I kind of have an idea. Like I think of a lot of fruity drinks, right? Like there's peach, blueberry, strawberry, and even coconut. I feel like those are kind of the big summer flavors. So Becca, what's your take? What's the best if you could only have one? Or maybe you're like, not no, that's dramatic. Not only one, but what would be your go-to? I
I
guess
mean,
often.
coconut.
Really?
Coconut. Yeah. Coconut. I mean the Nespresso pods are my favorite. The
True.
coconut with a little bit of coconut creamer. And then also there is a local spot, Hard Bean, which you'll have to
Oh,
try when you're home,
yeah.
Emmy. It's in
Yep.
Altoona. And they have a coconut cold foam over like a plain cold brew that is
Oh,
so good. And they
yum.
also have a pina colada. I've never tried it, but it's like pineapple, vanilla, and coconut with that coconut cold
Oh,
foam. I'm sure it's pretty good. I just stick to the straight cold brew so I can just really enjoy the cold foam. So coconut is my favorite, my go-to. One that I have, I'm usually a fruity person, but
mm-hmm.
not when it comes to coffee. I don't like
Yeah.
fruit and coffee that much, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. But at Dunkin', they have like s'mores is a big summer flavor,
Yes,
and they have
true.
marshmallow cold foam, which is literally just marshmallow fluff on top of a coffee.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
it is unbelievable. It is
Oh wow.
unbelievable. I was like, okay, this is how I gain all that COVID weight back.
Cold foam,
Cold
specifically
foams.
marshmallow cold foam.
Yes. So, Em, I'm curious. You are definitely more experimental with your coffee. I am
Yeah.
experimental with my cold foams, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, you talked about the s'mores, and yeah, I think of Biddle's Brewing. They're a local coffee shop with, kids we graduate with from high school. They just released their s'mores, and I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
home in a few weeks. So I'm so getting some Biddle's Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also try this hard bean. I'll try some coconut. And I love coconut and coffee, but it has to be done right. And I feel like so often it's not for me. And if it's, I don't know what makes the difference, but sometimes coconut can taste sunscreeny to me, right? It gives
Yeah,
me
it's
sunscreen vibes.
yes, especially if they're using like a concentrated flavor versus
Yeah.
fresh coconut.
Exactly. Like, I don't know what makes the difference on that, but if I only had to pick, honestly, like one coffee drink forever, it would be the coconut cream nitro cold brew from Doxa Coffee. It's here, like local to where I'm at in Alachua County. And it was actually the Doxa Coffee started by two kind of dairy kids, Emily and
Yeah,
Austin, who
yeah.
we know through the dairy industry. And I'm telling you, this is the most amazing coffee. It is delicious. The coconut in it is the perfect, like buttery, sweet coconut, and it's a
Mm.
nitro, so you don't have to put any ice in it. And it's like heavy cream or some sort of sweet cream, and it is, oh my gosh, just the most amazing coffee. I kind of forgot about that until we started talking about coconut because I was going to go a different route. So if I had to only pick one drink, like forever, it would probably be that coffee drink. But I
Oh,
will
dang.
say,
Forever, I would do a
I'm
dirty
telling
chai.
you,
I'd do a dirty chai latte.
dude, I'm telling you, this coconut cream nitro from Doxa is,
So good.
oh, it's so good. Also, it, yeah, it just doesn't have ice in it, so you can just sip on it. You don't have to worry about ice. You don't have to worry about anything melting. And oh, maybe I'll get it tomorrow morning because now I'm like, oh, I need this in my life. And I will say though, and then we can stop talking about coffee because I could go on forever. A unique summer coffee drink I had 2 summers ago, I think, 2 or 3 summers ago. I think it was the year Laura Lesher, we were up for her wedding. So I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a spot near Aunt Kathy, like near Hershey, and they had a peach coffee flavor. And I think it was just like a peach latte. And it was just not something I tried before. And it was so good. And it was just really refreshing and unique. So peach can go in coffee if anyone wants to try the combination. It was wonderful. So that was probably one of my more unique summer flavors that I've tried because I've seen a lot of blueberry, strawberry, but peach and coffee, I was like, I don't know. Peaches and cream, it made sense though. It was really good. So that's me. And now after this, I feel like I want to make a decaf coffee just to drink coffee because
I
I'm like,
know.
oh, I just
Same.
want a coffee now.
I'm excited. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go feed the animals at our dad's house because they're, they need that. They're away this weekend, so I think I'm gonna stop at Dunkin' on the way and
You can
reward
get
myself.
the s'mores.
I'm just gonna get the marshmallow cold foam. Just a cup of marshmallow cold foam, please.
So you could just go get fluff. You could just go buy fluff.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's different when you have to spend more money on it. It just tastes
It
different.
is. It's different when you're going through the drive-through, and actually, yeah, when it is on that colossal-sized venti cold brew, like, yeah.
Well, I'm excited. You'll have to send pics, and I'm looking forward to coffee now. But that's a good way to wrap this up because I feel like you need coffee to just sometimes get through the workday, right? And
Yep.
it all comes it all comes full circle. So thanks, Becca, for allowing me to interview you about your corporate cowgirl experience. I love getting to hear more about it. I'm sure it's fun to chat about it as well and just reflect on it. And hopefully it can have some helpful takeaways for anyone listening to this as well. And just knowing that it may not always go to plan, but it's always going to get you where you need to be. So
Yeah.
if y'all enjoyed this episode, of course, let us know. Reach out to us on Instagram. I really do just love when y'all just, even if it's a little short message, it can be 3 words, but any sort of feedback, it just makes my heart so happy. It's just so cool that y'all choose to listen to this. But if you can resonate with what we're talking about, it really just, I know, makes Becca and I both cheese so hard. It's really, really cool. So yeah, any feedback, any questions, of course, let us know. If you need any corporate lingo, reach out to Becca. I'm sure she'd be happy to provide it. And if you want to subscribe to the show so you're always up to date when we release, feel free to do that. We would always appreciate it. And of course, you can find us on socials at Cowgirl Talk.
Yeah. And as always, we appreciate you and have a great day, cowgirls. Bye.
Bye.